Okay, you're seeing me in the same clothes I wore Monday, because I did film this Monday. And today we are going to, on Tunisian Tuesday, we are going to do a washcloth. I don't like washcloths very big. And this is something that I use in my kitchen to wash dishes, those kind of things. I did use Premier Home, which is a 85% cotton, 15% polyester, I think, if I remember correctly. Acrylic, you know, that kind of thing. But that is the front of this stitch. This is called the torch stitch. That is the front. And this is what the back looks like. Now this is a somewhat open, lacy stitch. You notice it does not curl a lot. So that is one of the benefits of this stitch. It is a 2-row repeat. It's really simple, it really is. The hardest thing to remember is when you're doing that second stitch to hold your yarn with your finger over your hook. And you'll see what I mean when we get into the video. But yeah, mine is finished with the exception of weaving in the ends. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this stitch. Next week we'll do a new stitch. If you do choose, you could just make squares to put together in an afghan if you wanted, or to put together to make a cardigan, whatever you like. The biggest thing that you have to remember is that as we do these stitches, you may need to change your stitch count. And I will try to always make sure that I give you the multiple of the stitch so that you can change that if you want your squares to be the same size. You know, because if we were doing honeycomb by itself, those stitches, they would not equal up to this. But you know, you could always add a border around to make them the same size. But yeah, you could use acrylic or something else and just make blocks if you wanted to join them, you know, into a project later. Or you could make a full-size washcloth if you want. I thought the next couple of stitches that we would do washcloth things so that you could decide what you want to do with that. Then we'll get into another project. Instead of a blanket, I think maybe we'll do, I don't know, maybe a head warmer with a stitch. But, or ear warmer, whatever you want to call it. Headband, whatever. All right, guys, that is it for today. Like I said, let's get into the video, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learned something new. Good afternoon. For today's Tunisian Tuesday, I am going to start us off for making a dishcloth using the torch stitch. Now, I am using Premier Home cotton. It's not a 100% cotton. This is 85% cotton, 15% polyester. You could use sugar and cream, peaches and cream. I love this yarn, whatever your choice is. And I am using an eye hook, 5.5 millimeters. All right, let's get started. I'm going to make a slip knot. And yes, I'm making it a little differently than I normally do. And I am going to chain 20. This one is done in multiples of 2, is what works the best. You can chain as long as you want. I'm going to see what 20 inches gives me, 20 stitches. And 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Let me get an untangled mess here. 19 and 20. maybe 24. 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I'm not one of these that likes a huge dishcloth. So, and I'm going to tell you this. This is a 2-row repeat, and actually it works rather flat, so there's less curling, but I am going to pick up in that back hump bump for the first row, which is our simple Tunisian crochet. If I can get it in there. You know, when you're trying to do things on camera, it's not as easy as you think it is. And as usual, we're going to pick up those stitches and leave them on our hook. I have a cat rubbing up against my leg. I think I twisted it right there. Pull that back out. See, I tell you to use the back hump, then I don't use the back hump. How about that? If I scream out in pain, it's because I have a cat that's over here messing with my leg, and they have the cord of this down by my leg, and the cat sees it moving, and of course they think it's that we are playing a game. We are not, but the cat doesn't know that. And you'll see this yarn is a little splitty. That's why it's a little bit difficult on this first row. And of course, you know, I don't think it matters which cotton you use. I think even sugar and cream and peaches and cream are splitty, even as well as the, I love this yarn when it comes to cotton. All right. Well, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble with that. It's because I'm trying to go in my slip stitch. All right, your return passes is normal. It's chain 1, and then it's yarn over, go through 2, all the way back to the very beginning until you just have 1 stitch left. Okay, Ronan, that's enough. Ronan is the worst about wanting to play with the cords when I'm crocheting Tunisian. Now, I removed my cord because it was too much temptation for that silly cat. Now, the first row, this is a 2-row repeat for the torch. And the way it goes is we are going to go under the first 2 vertical bars, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Now we're going to bring our yarn forward like we're going to do a purl, but we are not. We're going to place our finger on this to hold that yarn. Then we are going to go through the next 2 loops, pull up a yarn. We're going to repeat that all the way across till we get to that last stitch. You don't want to go this way. You want to make it look like you're going to purl. Now, if you do not hold on to your yarn, this is what's going to happen. It's going to come forward and you're just going to pull through like a purl. That's not what you want. You're going to place your finger on that yarn, go through the next 2 vertical bars, yarn over, pull up a loop. Again, like you're going to purl. Hold that yarn, pull up a yarn, and then you've got 2 more loops. When you are going through these next 2 loops, these 2, normally this would be a decrease if you are decreasing. That's how you can shape with Tunisian, but we're not doing that. In a sense, we are making a yarn over here with the extra loop. Again, through the next 2. Like I said, hold on to that yarn. Hold on to that yarn. See, I'm letting it go. I shouldn't, but I was trying to. And then when we get to our last stitch, as normal, we are going to go through both of those at the end and pull up a loop. Then it's yarn over, go through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, 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 all the way to the back, to the end. Get some more yarn there. Oops. And you have just completed the first row of the torch stitch. Now the second row, this is the repeat row. I want you to look at your pattern. You're going to see that you have 2 stitches here close together, and there's a small space above that. This is where you're going to put in your stitches for the next row. Remember, it's always going to be above the 2. Going to work into this space right here. Let me get a pointer. I'm going to use a little nail file for assistance. You're going to see these 2 stitches right here. You're going to work in right above it, above in here. All right, let's go. You are going to, first of all, need to get more yarn. Okay, what you're going to do for the second part of this stitch is you are going to go in through above into that space, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 1. And you're going to repeat that. You're going to go back into that space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. Then you are going to go to the next 2 where you see that. You're going to go into that space and you're going to repeat that. You're going to put 2 stitches in each one across, all the way across. You're not going to go in here. You'll go in here above the 2 that are together. Yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, chain 1. Again, next one, go through, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first. Again, and chain 1. And then you're going to look for your next space. It's above these two right here in this gap. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, and go back into that space again. You're going to place 2 across in each one. Find the next space, go through, pull up a loop, chain 1, go back into that space, chain 1. Now we've reached our last space, and we're going to again go through that loop, pull up a loop, chain 1, go through a second time, pull up a loop, chain 1, and then we will go through the last 2 as normal. Pull up that loop, then yarn over, pull through 1. Oops. Yeah, that did go through. Then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way across to the last stitch. And there you have it. That is your 2-row repeat. We'll do this again. I'll go through the first row again. You are going to go for this first one like a simple stitch. You will pull up a loop, leave it on your hook. Then you're going to act as if you're going to yarn over, pulling that yarn to the front, holding that yarn, going through the next 2 and pulling up a loop. Then you're going to repeat that. Again, yarn over. You're going to bring it in front like you're going to do a purl. Then go through the next 2, pull up a stitch. Again, you're going to repeat that all the way across to the last stitch. Oops, remember to hold it. And remember that you want to make sure that you are bringing your yarn in front of your hook. This will change the look of it, and you're going to get a mess, and it'll curl. So remember to bring your yarn in front of your hook, hold that yarn, go through the next 2 loops, pull up the loop, and repeat. And then when you get to your last stitch, again, you're going to go through the last 2, yarn over, pull up your loop. Then the return pass is as normal. Yarn over, go through 1, yarn over, go through 2, all the way across to the last stitch. Okay, now we're going to start that second row again. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit more yarn out here. And again, remember, we are going to go above where these two loops, the previous row, in that space right there. You're going to go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through that loop. And you're going to go back in again a second time, yarn over, pull up a loop. Then you will go to the next space and you will yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through that loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. So basically you're doing an extended stitch, but you're putting 2 stitches in that space. You're going to repeat that all the way across, remembering to put 2 stitches in. And it's going to go above this. It's not going to go into this space. You're going to go above where you have the 2 joined together. Or better yet, above the 2 upside down V's. Oops. Let me undo that. Got that a little snagged up. And you're just going to repeat that second row is 2 in each space across to the last stitch. And I'm at my last space. Where did it go? No, I messed up something when I did my return pass. Good thing you get to see the mistakes. Now I'm going to speed this up to go through and get it done. There's a little bit of a bonus because you get to see me do that row, that second row again. We are going to go through here, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 1. Again, repeat, putting 2 in each space. See, mistakes aren't all that bad. And just like regular crochet, they're easy to repair. It's easy enough to fix. The only thing is you want to remember you've got those 2 V's, 2 strands together, and you're going to go over this, you're going to put that 2 stitches in that space. And don't be afraid to use your fingers to help move the yarn. Now, I am using cotton. However, if you choose to, you could actually use, oops, didn't go in the right space. You could use acrylic as well instead of cotton, or some other choice of yarn, because you could just turn this into a block that you could join together later, you know, like you do granny squares. You could do that with a lot of these squares that we're going to be doing. And we are going to do a couple of squares so that you can get used to some of these stitches. I'm going to go above that. And then you're going to go through the last two like normal. Yarn over, pull through one. Your return pass is the same. Now you could, if you're worried about your stitches growing, make sure that you count to make sure you have the same amount of stitches that you had to start with, which you should have 24. 24. Okay? And the return pass, like I said, is chain. Go through two, go through two, yarn over, go through two, yarn over, go through two, all the way across. Now I'm going to work a few rows on my own, and then I will come back so that I can show you what it looks like at the very end. Because you'll want to see the back, the way that the back looks, and then we'll do the bind off. Just remember to go through 2 stitches and not 3. Okay, I'll come back in a little bit and then we'll show you the back. We'll do the bind off together. I wanted to clarify something on this last space. You've gotten where you have these two and you see you have a last space, but you don't really have a bar to go through. You are going into this space right here, into this space right here, and you are picking up that loop for that second one, chaining, chaining, and then you are going through the last 2. So when you count, you're going to make sure that you have 24 stitches on your hook, or however many you chained for your washcloth, because you may have chained more and done more. I chose 24 because I don't really care for big, huge ones. So yeah, and I've already done my chain 1. No, I haven't. Going through that last 2. Then I'm going to chain 1. And then I would count my stitches so that I know that I had 24 on my hook, which I do. So then I would do that return pass of going through the 2. I'm not real sure if I made that clear the first time, so I wanted to make sure that you did understand that. Okay, I'm going to work through a few more rows because I don't want a real big washcloth. And then I will come back and we'll look at the back side of it as well as bind off. Okay, be back in a few minutes. Okay, now I have my washcloth as large as I want it. Now this is what I want for me. You may want something different. Let's look at that back side. Do you see how that creates that nice little pattern? But you also notice that this is completely flat. There is no curling with this, hardly at all. You do see a little bit up here, but that we're going to bind off. And again, let me do the bind off with you. Bind off is simply you're going to go through this next stitch as if to do simple Tunisian. Yarn over, pull through, and pull through that last loop. Then you'll go through the next one, yarn over. You're basically slip stitching across the end. And that is the bind off for this as normal. You can do what they call a bind off in stitch pattern, but I generally don't mess with that when I'm doing washcloths because it's just easier to do a slip stitch and it looks just as good. Okay, I'm going to get to the end here, and I don't have any cutting utensils other than my cat's claw cutters, so I will pass on cutting for you. But normally when you get to that last stitch and you've gone through the two at the end, like you would normally, pull through here. Then you could simply pull through one more time, cut your yarn, pull through, and then weave in your ends. And there you have it. That is the torch stitch. I hope you enjoyed this stitch. It is a nice, fun, easy stitch. It's a little bit of a lacy stitch. If you wanted to use this, you could use it to make panels. You know, you can make a summer t-shirt with this. You could certainly do a cardigan with this stitch that would be nice, loose, kind of open. If you use a smaller hook, it would be a little tighter, but there you have it. That is the torch stitch. All right, I'll see you again next week. Enjoy.